What's up? Ender Inethos here with the beautiful, lovely, fantastic, amazing
Shaleia Plant.
And we're from AquaintedIntimacy.net. And today we actually have a question from a viewer, subscriber, that we wanted to answer for you.
So I'll just read the question. It says, I have a request for you guys, if you guys would be open to it, as it's a heavy topic. Intimacy when one or both partners have experienced rape and sexual abuse in the past. I know it's a big one for a lot of people and would love to see your perspective on it as you guys give such wonderful and realistic advice.
Well, first of all, thank you to our subscriber who wrote that. We really appreciate the positive feedback. We also appreciate that you were open and willing enough to ask a question like that for us to answer. So just as a side note, the rest of our viewers, subscribers, we love questions like this, and if you have any questions like this, we would love to answer them for you.
But not just like this, but any questions that you may have.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Just ask us. Sorry. We're in a giddy mood despite the heavy topic.
Well, anyway, what I want to say is that your questions help us to create videos.
Yes,
I know we're going on like a big slew of videos right now, but because of, in our human design, who we are as manifesting generators, it helps us a lot if we have a question to kind of ping our minds and, provide an answer to.
Yes.
If it's just us talking, we're not really sure if it's that's exactly what you want.
We like to be invited to speak about topics that would assist you. So we find like that works very well instead of us just, maybe we should talk about this, and it's kind of like a needle in a haystack. But either way, we're really grateful for this opportunity. So without further ado, let's answer this question. Sexual abuse is rampant and huge in not just our culture, but in the world. So I guess the best way to answer this question is from our own personal experience. I had an experience that was, I guess we would call it sexual assault when I was a child, outside of the family. And I basically blacked out for a year of my life. I have absolutely no memory of being 5 years old. And then memories started resurfacing over the past couple of years, and I always had a feeling before these memory surfaces, I felt like something was off in my sexuality. And at first I thought it was because I was born and raised Catholic, that the Catholic Church screwed up my sexuality, and that's that. I thought maybe it was that, and I come from a broken home, so I thought, maybe it has to do with that. But anyway, so trauma started coming to the surface, and memories started coming to the surface, and I realized that even in my past relationships, I was still experiencing the effects of the sexual assault that happened to me when I was 5. Now, what I mean by that was I got into an unhealthy BDSM relationship that it wasn't bad. Like, I don't know how to explain. I don't want to say it was a bad experience, because it was an experience nonetheless that I needed to have. Some women have BDSM experiences, and men, but mostly women, that are much more traumatic than what I experienced, because men can use the guise of BDSM for violence against women. I also was in another relationship where I developed vaginismus. And in a nutshell, what that was the thinning of my vaginal muscles and tissue. And I was swollen all the time down in my vagina, and sex was extremely painful, extremely uncomfortable. I was having a huge aversion toward it, and I was engaged at the time, and we were barely having sex. And when I went to a doctor to talk about it, he's like, your your body is basically signaling you're being raped every time. And if you don't start taking these steps to heal this, because you said it was mostly psychological, I would not be able to have sex because the thinning was getting so bad. So that was a really huge wake-up moment for me. Yeah. It was a really big wake-up moment for me at that time, where I started really looking around and evaluating my sexuality and my relationship, but I didn't quite know what to do about it then. So fast forward, so now that I'm in this relationship with Ender, and I have a lot more clarity and understanding about what happened to me in the past, our sex life is, how do I put it? It's rich, but it's also kind of slow in its development, meaning I have to take breaks. I have to take my time out, because sex can get very intense for me, emotionally and otherwise, because I feel everything. I feel all the trauma, all the upset, all the energies that are out of alignment with love being stirred in my vagina area. And I just feel like I have absolutely no desire for it. And so I kind of go back and forth. Or when we are making love with each other, I notice I'll start to disassociate from my body. I'll begin to disassociate from the experience. And so I'm learning to honor my body more, and to honor when I am disassociating, to take that as a cue of I need to take a break and I need to get back in and heal this. Sometimes what helps me heal my sexual abuse, having a partner, is if he's just focusing on giving me gentle, loving touch, or gentle, loving massage, or being with me in an intimate way that isn't sexual, allowing me to feel safe, and that I'm in a sacred space, and that I can open up if I need to cry, if I need to talk about anything that could be very difficult or not easy to hear. He allows me to have that. He doesn't pressure me to have sex. He doesn't pressure me to be a part of every sexual need and desire that he has. And if I feel like I am being pushed a little bit beyond my comfort zone or my boundary, then I'll tell him, no, you need to solo it this time, or I'm not interested. And he knows it's not that I'm not interested in him. It's just, it's not appropriate for me to be a part of that energy right now. And, and I am also still healing some of these wounds that happened in the past.
So, gentlemen, she's giving you a good sort of model from her description of how it's appropriate to act if you're a woman has been sexually abused, has experienced sexual abuse. So I can give you some things from my perspective that will help you out, sort of further what she's already said. She's already said it pretty clearly and pretty all-encompassingly, but maybe it will help to hear it from my mouth too.
People may want to know if you've been abused.
Oh no! So let me start my story. I've never been sexually abused. If you've seen some of the videos before, I grew up Catholic, and the family was very clear that you don't have sex before marriage, and that's it. And you only have sex with one woman in your life, and that's because you're married to her, and only after you marry her, right? And you only marry once. So I've got all of this going on, all this programming, and I really wanted to honor that until I was 18 or so, maybe 20. It wasn't until I was 20 years old that I ended up losing my virginity to a girlfriend I'd been dating for a year and a half in college. And that was because I thought that maybe we were going to get married. So after that relationship dissolved, and I'm like, oh, where do I go with this now? I'm like, a lot of me is looking at my friends getting laid and hearing them tell me about it, and they're like, oh, getting laid is great, you should want to do it. I'm like, yeah, let me try to get laid. It never really resonated with me, never really worked. So I've only had sex with 3 women in my life, and this is one of them. and that was another one, right? So my sexual experiences are limited in scope. So as a result, I've got a pretty clear, clean sexuality.
Yeah.
I don't have any sexual trauma. I don't have any sexual pain. I think sex is great and wonderful and delicious, and I want to engage in it. And, there was a time, so to give you a little more juice in this area, if you want to choose this idea, there was a time where I wasn't super confident in my own sexual abilities, but that quickly subsided. Very quickly subsided. It's not a huge deal, right? The real challenge is if you have a lot of sexual partners and you have a lot of sexual trauma. That's intense, man. That's I got a lot of respect for Shaleia to have to go through this, right?
That was pretty much my experience.
So here I am with a super healthy sexuality, a powerful sex drive, especially now that I'm working out a lot, right? Like my testosterone levels are up, my sexual desire has increased significantly, and Shaleia's over here healing, right? She can't have sex anywhere near as much as I can ever desire to right now. And that's okay. Yeah. And that has to be okay. And you have to be, as a man in this situation, you have to be okay with that. You cannot force your sexuality, you can't force your sex on your woman. And even if she wants to do that, have sex with you to please you, you cannot have sex with her unless her body wants to have sex with you.
Yeah.
Her body, her mind, her emotions, her spirit, all of it need to line up for her to want to have sex with you before you can have sex with her. Because Shaleia's mind will be like, oh, I'm so turned on by you right now, I want to have sex. And we start to get into it, and I feel something's not right. Her mind and her words and her body are telling me that she wants to have sex, but something's not off, and my body knows it, and my heart knows that it's not appropriate to have sex with her right now. And if I did, it wouldn't be as pleasing. No. Even though she's telling me it's okay, and she's saying she wants it, and she's ready for it, right?
Yeah, it actually sets back my own healing every time I engage before I'm ready to.
And that doesn't mean, warm her up for another 15 minutes. It means, kiss her and bring it back down, and let it go and go do something else. Yeah. You maybe love her or whatever, right? Yeah. But you, as the man, need to be the sentinel for your woman, too. You need to be the sentinel of your sexual energy. You need to find another way to handle your sexual desires without putting that pressure on your woman so that she can heal in her own time.
Yeah. And so I imagine in my healing, what's returning is the great love and the great healthy, whole sexual relationship that is mine by divine birthright. And, we'll get glimpses of it. We'll get glimpses of what I feel is our real sex, undisturbed without that interruption that happened when I was a child and in my early 20s. And that gives me hope. That gives me such a feeling of empowerment, where we had this one experience where I was really embodied as my full sexual self. I was my own empowered sexual goddess. And I knew it, and everything felt so good and was just lined up. And Ender, at the end of our session, was like, I just didn't know what to do with you, because usually I'm working most of our sexing to get you to open up. But it's you were already there. You didn't even need my help. So it was a whole new gaming arena that was really inspiring and fun and really empowering, and made me feel okay, maybe this is the direction that I want to head in. This feels really good. I think this is where my healing is taking me, and this is where my healing is taking our sexual relationship. One of the things that I have had to be very strong and firm about with myself is that I don't take on any guilt and shame for not being able to be as sexually pleasing as perhaps I think I should be or should have been.
In this moment.
I don't care to have sex 3 times a day. That's too much for my trauma at this point to handle. But I'm not going to make myself feel bad for it either. I actually feel a lot more love and acceptance towards myself. And, I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that.
So I want to pipe in and say that there's a direction to this, right? Like, gentlemen, if your woman's been sexually abused, you don't have to be this sentinel for your whole relationship, your whole life. It's just a temporary thing that as she works through it, she can open up and relax into having sex more often, in deeper, more pleasing, inspiring ways. But you need to allow her to move through it so that you can have the deep, juicy milk and honey that awaits you.
You gotta work on really what counts. Sex is basically an empty vessel anyway. Just like how money can be an empty vessel, it's just the meaning that we put into it. So we get a lot of love and a lot of meaning in our daily life, in our daily interaction. Sex is kind of like the cherry. For me, anyways, it's not a foundation in our relationship, though it is very important to our intimacy as well, but it's not what makes us an intimate, loving couple.
Key.
So, I hope this answered your question, and I hope this was very helpful. If you have any questions or comments about sexual abuse and violence in relationships, if you're going through one, there's a lot of help out there. We also offer a Relationship 911 coaching package. Or if you're also in a relationship where you're healing that, you can also reach out to us as well. If you have anything else to add to it, how do you nurture your intimacy when you or your partner have gone through sexual trauma like that? We would really love to. We'd love to hear it. So, like I said, what I do is just love and honor and nurture myself and focus on my already healed state.
And that's what I do for her too.
And he does that for me too.
Himself and focused on her already healed state.
Yeah, he supports me.
Just love your woman in every way you can, especially sexually, and respect and honor her, especially sexually if she's going through sexual trauma. And there is a light to the end of the tunnel, and you can heal your sexual trauma.
Yeah.
And you can have amazing, fantastic, wonderful, spontaneous, delicious sex after it's healed, and in the healing process too.
So thank you for joining us today. This is Shaleia Plant.
And underneath those.
Hi. Aloha.
Aloha from awakenintimacy.net.